Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Pretty good. It's Monday.
It's a Monday. That's true.
Appreciate you
Um,
making the time.
I appreciate you getting on the call with me. So, if I could you give me 1 minute? My other call ran over, and there's something I need a bathroom break.
No problem.
One
I'll be
minute.
right. I'll be right here.
Okay, give me just a second. I'll be right back. So, thank you very much for your patience. I appreciate that.
Not a problem.
So, if you would, could you pronounce your name for me?
Camille. First name is Camille. Last name is Zuk.
Camil Zuk. And where are you from, Camille?
Currently I'm in Brooklyn. I've been here for the last going on 6 years now.
Ah, okay. Fantastic. And remind me where we met.
We met on it was one of the Zoom calls a couple weeks ago. I can't remember if it was
Which,
Julie's call. Maybe it was a
I was,
multi-fam.
I was going to
But
say, which ones do you go to? Julie's and who
Julie's,
else?
I do the multifamily ones, and I do the Yona calls too.
And Jonas. So
Yeah,
I might have seen you. Have you done Brian Briscoe's?
I have not.
That's a lunchtime Friday. So if you ever have a lunchtime Friday, I just posted. We're connected on LinkedIn.
Yes, we are.
I just made a post that has a meetup calendar on it. And
Oh
I'm
yeah.
looking to build that calendar out so that it has every multifamily meetup that I can find, uh, at least any that have have even a tidbit of value. So I'm putting it out there because of people like you that weren't aware of some of the other meetups. So Brian is really high level, good networking. I would, on par with Julie's, and it's mostly networking. Very little fluff and somebody else doing most of the talking. It's almost entirely networking. So I would definitely say check it out. Check out that post, and I made it a public calendar. And if you have some meetups that I can add to it, DM me, and I'll put them on there also. Trying to make a good resource for everybody.
Yeah, it's actually great you're doing that because I've only been doing the Zoom calls for maybe a couple months now, and it's been tough finding them.
Yeah,
It's
and
one of
that's
those
what it is for everybody, and that's why I'm trying to do it. Is I know everybody's suffering from the same thing,
right.
and so trying to get it out there so that just make it easier. And trust me, the guys that are running it want the same thing. They
Sure.
haven't. We even started a private chat amongst all of us so that we can figure out how to make it easier for people to find us. And so some of us didn't realize that you could put this on as a recurring Zoom or a recurring meetup at meetup.com. And so it'll get better. But right now, the fastest solution in my mind was to build the calendar and try to spread the word and get as many people, uh, you know, making a comment on the calendar so that LinkedIn keeps putting it out there so that we all, um, have access to it. But so anyway, what caused you to get on my calendar?
So you had mentioned that anyone who's interested in kind of taking things to the next level and getting further into the syndications, JVs, they're basically putting these deals together rather than doing it on their own, to reach out. And so thank you for doing that. I'm at that point. I guess the quick tidbit about me was, so I grew up in Connecticut originally. That's my parents actually are off the boat from Poland. And I flew here when I was 2 weeks old. I was actually born in Spain and lived there for a couple of years. And grew up in Connecticut. I used to live in the same house I was in. Grew up doing all kinds of projects with my dad. He didn't have any particular skill set in that space. He was just a handy kind of person. And that's, I was Saturdays at this household. So I grew up doing that. I went to Boston for civil engineering. Went on the consultant side for a little while, but that wasn't really my speed. And then so I got into construction in New York City. I had a few friends here from school, so I started hanging out here, decided I liked it, used that to pivot, kind of a career change with the mindset of I want to do large scale developments. I was very interested in real estate, still am, of course. And, I thought that would be a good way to go. Even when I was looking at civil engineering, one of the main reasons I chose civil engineering was, I thought there'd be a pretty good background in terms of doing subdivisions and building homes and things like that. Be a good skill set. So the last 6 years, I've been managing large-scale residential construction projects here in New York for a developer. I was lucky to, it's L&M Development is the company. They're a little unique in the space in terms of they're a developer, but they develop from themselves. They're an owner. They're also an operator, and they build for themselves. So I've been lucky to be exposed to a lot of those facets that, most people on the construction side aren't, or most people on the development side aren't. Sure, as you're familiar, those deals typically work where you just hire a third-party GC, build my plans and specs, there's a bunch of change orders, less incentive to do the right job, so to speak, for the long-term longevity and management of the building. And that's just how the industry is run. So they're a little different. They kind of have more stuff in-house. And so I got to see a lot of these, how the big boys do it. And pivoting off that, my business partner is he's in Connecticut. Him and I go back till we were literally high school friends. He's got his own construction company up there, predominantly exterior facades. And we were golfing one afternoon. We said, hey, we're both interested in real estate. Started that was a couple of years ago, and spent a lot of time looking at stuff, getting familiar with numbers, etc. And then in the last 12 months, we put together 14 units. So one of those is a flip. The rest of those are rental units, ranging from 3 family up to 6 family, home in Hartford County. So that's where we are now. We're actually in the middle of we've been trying to refi the 6 unit for the last 3 or 4 months. It's been a bit of a battle with COVID and the banks being a little more strict, but also one of the things we discovered was that this kind of sub $1 million loan space is very tricky. So we're kind of we're in that gap, and we're like, well, we're pretty competent. The 3 units aren't quite our speed. We'll pick them up as the numbers make sense. We're actually under contract with them right now. Those that we're getting for a good number, but we're looking to scale this, and him and I both have the same vision of we want to have a big portfolio one day. So we're like doing, we love doing construction, and we're speaking the language. So we want to start helping other people with money too. And so we're kind of through this refi, and we're kind of on that path already. We realized, the next step really should be we need to get into this agency debt space of $1 million loan balance and up. So we've been looking at that. We've been talking about it for a little while, but now we're looking to put some concrete steps together and kind of start outlining some action items that we need to take to do the next one. We got some money coming in between the refi, some money we got on accounts when we're selling. So looking to start, don't want to sit around for too long. I know it's going to be a long winter with COVID anyway, and looking to keep busy.
Fantastic. So the 6 unit is in Connecticut or in New York?
It's in Connecticut. Everything's in Connecticut. 60 is in Britain, Connecticut.
Okay.
So we're also in New York. We were looking at New York for a couple of years early when we started. Just the stuff wasn't really penciling out. It was very tight. Not the kind of returns we're looking for. And especially now with the politics of the situation, especially all the rent laws and the capex, the limited capex laws in the past. It's tough. I think there's going to be probably a lot of opportunities here in the next 5, certainly the next 10 years once things kind of settle down. But right now, where the rents are, where the valuations are, it's, you're lucky to see a 4 cap. So in the last probably 6 months, you start to see 5s, which are, so-called distressed deals around here. But again, in the properties we're holding, I'm getting 10, 12 caps on stabilized assets that, we want to refinish. So it's not,
in Connecticut?
Yeah, and there I'm getting stuff for 50,000 a unit, where here it's 500,000 a unit.
Did you say you were in Brooklyn right now?
I'm in Brooklyn. That's where I manage.
You're in Brooklyn, but you're working not in Brooklyn, but where? Just outside the city, or across the river? Where are most of the projects?
I'm actually the project I'm doing right now is in Coney Island, Brooklyn.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yep.
I guess I have this idea in my head that everything's completely built out there. I'm just naivete of not knowing the city very well.
No, it's funny you say that, because it's you just see stuff popping up. Like you didn't even realize there was a lot or anything.
Right.
Like, that's something. Like,
where did that come from?
I was at IKEA the other day, and they literally took part of the parking lot and they're putting up these commercial towers there. I was like, would have never guessed.
So you guys are mostly in the single family space and subdivision space?
It'd be smaller multi-family buildings, like the 3 units,
like
1 unit, 6 units.
3 and 6 unit buildings.
Yeah.
But new construction?
No, these are rehab. We bought them.
No, I'm talking about your day job.
Oh, my day job, yeah, Brent. I did a rehab with them, but then I did get dropped from the rehab, so they put me on the new construction side. So I did 435 units ground up. That was in the Bronx.
And are those towers, or how are you guys putting those together?
Yeah, I guess you would call them towers. They're so the Bronx job was 2 13-story buildings,
Okay.
500,000 square feet, 435 units. This one is. It's a quasi garden style. I guess you call it a garden style, but then I have 2 18-story towers on each corner. So that was 446 units.
Okay. All right. So what do you guys, what are you looking for? What do you need? Do you have a deal? Like for instance, on the 6 flat that you're refining, how much what is the loan amount on the 6 flat?
Loan amount on that one is $250.
Okay.
$250 even.
Yeah.
I'm in there for about.
If that were in Brooklyn, you'd get agency debt on it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Because it'd be over $1 million.
That'd be a $3 million deal.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So there are some downsides to investing in a market where things are really cheap. Almost. Is there any? Have you concluded that loan? Are you guys good to go on that loan, on the refi? Or are you still looking for some help?
No, I'm still looking for help. I have a couple things in the works, but no one's jumped on it yet. Things are kind of moving slow. I have.
How much equity do you feel that you have that you're trying to pull out?
So I'm in the whole thing for about 330. It's worth 4 and a quarter. So I'd love to get my 330 out of it, pay off
at least,
to get my 80 back,
right,
and have 70 left in it if I could. If not, even if I got 300 out of there and I left my 30 in there or whatever, I'm good with that.
And you have a construction loan on it right now? Is that what you're trying to refi out of?
It's a hard money loan.
Hard money loan? Okay.
Yeah. So basically, the deal was I got almost full financing on the building just because the comps on it were that good. How comfortable the value was there. Yeah. I would have thrown 80 grand in. So two units they're basically demoed. The top 2 units, the guy just got in over his head kind of thing. It was just he didn't want to deal with it. And that was in January, so his time was impeccable. I'm sure he feels like he met out great. We feel met out great. So it was a good deal for both sides.
Yeah.
And
usually the best ones.
Right, exactly. So we turned that around. Like I said, it was 80 grand by the time we did the roof, we had those units, we renovated a third unit in there when one of the leases expired. We did a bunch of work on the inside, fire alarm, a couple of new furnace units. So everything was pretty darn good shape. We just repainted the parking lot. And now it's a 12-month note, which he'll extend it if he needs to. He's a good lender. But I just want to be in permanent debt and kind of go focus on just worrying about the rent checks there, nothing else.
Do you know if you're in a USDA zone?
I do
Is it
not.
considered rural? They
I'm not.
have some for small balance stuff under $1 million. USDA has some programs that I would definitely investigate.
Okay.
Obviously it's not going to be a fast close, but you might be able to get much better debt than local bank debt or even local credit union debt. And I would definitely, if you haven't already put everybody on speed dial, every credit union should be on speed dial, because you're going to find at least one who they want some of this commercial business. They have so little of it. Almost all of that goes to the banks, and people just don't think to, ever think of a credit union when they want to go get a commercial loan or a business loan. So typically in any market, you can find one or two credit unions that are really hungry to make those type of loans and can get some much more favorable terms, not necessarily a much better rate, because everybody's going to give you a great rate. What I'd be looking for is longer terms.
Right.
I don't want a 5-year, 7-year balloon. Just give me a straight 20-year loan or 30-year loan. Okay. Okay, I'll take the 5-year, but I want it to be non-recourse.
Right. So it's interesting you say, because I did reach out to a few credit unions. I come across that advice as well. And right now, this was probably close to a couple months ago. I caught probably 4 of them, and they didn't want to touch it yet. So maybe now's the time to pick up the phone again. I told you here in the terms, one of the brokers I'm working with, he sent me it was a 5-year term, amortized over 30 with like a 6.5 rate. And I was like, look, I'm not really interested in a 5-year term. If we're going to do that, I want to be paying points and 6.5%. If it was a 10-year, okay, I'd be thinking about like something said non-recourse. Let's look at the terms a little bit here, because it's on top of that, it was a 5-year with a 3-year prepayment penalty. So I was like, that's
not a good loan.
No.
So that's one strategy to be used, USDA. The other is it's a 6 flat. So I don't think, even if you were a veteran, I don't think VA will touch it, because commercial, even if you claimed you were living there. I know HUD is a good resource, but I don't know how small. They may have a 750 cutoff, but I would at least check. USDA and HUD is probably where I would go check, and see what products they have out there. And also, do you have is this the only asset that you're still holding? Have you already disposed of the other stuff?
No, we have. So I have 3 other properties along with this one.
Have you thought about trying to get them all under one portfolio?
I have not. I've heard of that before. I'm not familiar with the ins and outs. Or I felt that'd be more complicated than doing just the one, but I could be incorrect in that assumption.
So how many other properties?
So it's 3 other properties, 4 in total.
So 4 total. And describe the other properties for me.
So one of them is a single family house.
Okay.
One of them is a three family property not far from this one, and then the other one's a 4 unit that needs quite a bit of work. We should be on the market right now. And that one's in Hebron. Now we bought an auction for a good deal.
Okay, so this is really the only one that's classified commercial. All the rest would be classified as residential.
Correct.
And so you could, I would definitely, I would be asking these credit unions in particular if they did portfolio loans. And you'll probably have to. How long have you owned the oldest one?
So the 6 units, the O's, well, that one, we closed on that one right at the new year. So it's coming up on 12 months.
Okay. So all of them have relatively recent appraisals.
Correct.
So I would take all those appraisals and say, and whatever else you need. If you guys are keeping financials, I'd walk in with all my financials with a T12 and T3, T1, whatever you had for each product. I don't know if you were using an actual software like Buildium or something, or if you guys are just doing Excel spreadsheets, but try to come in looking as professional as you can. All the expenses broken down, and present that along with all the appraisals. And if you know somebody who will give you a a broker's opinion of value on each of the units that you can also put in the package, so that you can see what is your total, the total value based upon broker's opinion of value and based upon actual appraisals. So at the very least, you know, it's worth at least what it appraised for back then, and potentially it's worth more. So, you know, by bringing all that together, you can give somebody a much cleaner picture of
Right.
where you are, and hopefully make it more appetizing for them to want to do a portfolio loan. And you might find that you get it above $1 million. If you can get it above $1 million, I think that you can start to possibly source some other non-recourse opportunities. You know, it's not going to be Fannie or Freddie, but even the HUD products and the USDA products would open up if it were over $1 million into their multifamily products. And there's a lot of other lenders out there in the multifamily space that are lending on. You just I'm not I'm not plugged into them because it's not what I typically do, but definitely out there and definitely findable. So that's one piece. What else? What else can I help you with? What else are you guys looking for?
Sure. No, that's great input. I've learned more talking to you about the last 5 minutes about that than I had probably in the last year looking up on this stuff. So thank you for that input. So the next thing would be, I guess, what are the concrete steps to start putting one of these $1 million deals together? We're kind of looking at one right now. I think it's 21 units. It's mixed use though, which is one of my main questions. And the asking price on it's like 1.1325, which I'd probably be pretty close on the $1 million amount. But it was also in New Britain. There's a couple bigger ones in Hartford that are like in that 1.8 mark. They're about 28 unit range. Those are full residential, might be a better look. I'll let you take it from there.
So if I could, I'd like to, let's see, hold on just one second here. Let me check my calendar. I don't want to run over on my other call. I've been running behind all day long. So, okay. If I could, I would like to just give you some color on my background and who I am, since we got, you know, I have a lot more color on you and where you are. Would like to eventually get some more information about your partner also, but okay, excuse me, just one second.
No problem.
Okay, apologize. I'm working on a real big deal down in Arkansas in Little Rock. You don't know anybody who wants to jump in on a just under $40 million deal, do you? You know, a big fish, huh?
What's the minimum?
All of it.
Oh, all of it? I don't know. Well, the only person I know who would write a check that big would be the owner, but I'm not that close to him.
Well, they don't have to write a check for all of it. About 17 million would be my guess. But anyway, so a little bit more about me. I I'm 62, so it could be a long story. So I'll try to compress a lot of it. I come from humble beginnings. I live in Chicago, but I was born in Tennessee. Grew up in orphanages and in foster homes. Left high school early so I could join the Air Force. Was a member of what they call the Walking Air Force as survival instructor. Today, most people know it from the SEER branch of the military, and got hurt while I was there. And they sent me home and said that couldn't do that anymore. So that took away what I thought would be the rest of my life. And so I didn't know what to do. Went to work for a company I'd worked for through high school. They sent me to Chicago. They were expanding in that market. I met my wife there. She got pregnant. We're going to have a baby. A friend of mine offers me a job paying a whole lot more money. We wind up taking that, moving to Arkansas. And then my wife had an opportunity to move to Florida. We did that. So for the next 20 years, I was in the automobile industry, and I own Chrysler, Plymouth, and Dodge franchises. I have opened probably half a dozen different businesses, and I jokingly tell everybody the reason I opened so many is that my secret power is picking really bad partners, and so so I've had quite a number of experiences over my 62 years, and hopefully have gained some wisdom from that. But long story short is that because of my background and where I come from, when you think about being a business owner or being an entrepreneur, you don't think about you think about it differently than say somebody who grew up in a wealthier neighborhood and went to a good school and got a degree in finance. You know, they think you build a business, you sell it, then you go build another business and you sell it, and you go build another one and you sell it. But when you come from my background, you think that business is your lifetime.
Mhm.
That's what you're going to pass on to your kids. That's your generational wealth. That is your retirement plan. And so after my last partnership gone bad, my wife was like, okay, what if this never works? What if, we never make it in this path? And so I did what have always said I would never do, which is go to work for the man, get a regular W-2 job. But lucky for me, I found a job where, and the reason I did it was to try to build up a nest egg, a retirement plan, so that my wife and I would at least never be homeless. And it was something that she legitimately had fears about. And so I found a job where you had to get a minimum number of years, but your retirement was based upon hours worked. And so I recently retired from that job a couple of years ago. And I tell everybody I got a 30-year retirement in 12 years. And I did that because I worked 16-hour days. I worked 7 days a week. And I did that for 12 years. And the reason 12 was that was a minimum number of years you had to have in to be able to claim the retirement. And so I took that. And during that life cycle, what I left out was that I had tried real estate several times. And every time that I thought I was going to be a real estate investor, something else, another opportunity would knock on my door and pull me away from it. And so we'd kept trying to get involved in real estate, and we would own a few single family here and there. And we got to a point where while we were working for the man, we figured out that we would not be able to scale a single family real estate business. And so we thought, okay, we'll start buying small multifamily. And again, the amount of work involved even in a small multifamily, and we couldn't scale that with the hours and the way we were working. And we were at a CCIM conference on a Sunday night and met Gene Trowbridge, who is a SEC attorney from California. And Gene introduced us to syndication. And so we started down that rabbit hole. And next thing you know, we were finding excuses to only work 4 days a week. And we'd work 3 16s and a 12, and then we'd drive straight to the airport, jump on a plane, fly to Texas, and meet with brokers and property managers and other investors. And we did that for about 5 years. And we'd fly back home Sunday night, and my wife would meet me at the airport with a bag. I go straight back to work. And so We were able to get quite a number of doors under our belt, and we were able to get agency debt under our belt. And so we have our Freddie and Fannie card, so to speak. And to bring that full circle, in 2019, actually in December, Christmas Eve, we got a deal under contract in Phoenix. It was about an $8 million deal.
Nice.
And we were closing on the deal, working our way toward, through the contract, through due diligence, and COVID hit. And we didn't realize COVID was already there when we signed the deal, but by March, everybody else knew that it was here,
Right.
including Franny and Freddie. And the agency lenders all suddenly dried up. And there was about a 3 to 6 week time frame where they pulled all the deals off the table,
Yeah.
and they came to us and said, look, if you can close in a couple of days, we'll stay in the loan, but otherwise we're going to have to pull out. And so we told them, okay, we can close. We didn't have all of our money raised done, but we had the partners agreed we'd pony up the rest of the money. And so they were like, oh, so you can close? And we're like, yeah, we can close. And so they go, okay, well, we've got to take it back to underwriting. And so they took it back to underwriting, came back and said, we'll still close, but the terms and the conditions are changing. And so that changed obviously all the underwriting. So we had to go back and underwrite the deal again. Long story short, this went back and forth several different iterations, and we wound up switching lenders, and it went back and forth several different iterations. We wound up going to private equity and went back and forth several iterations, and all the while everything kept changing. The partnership structure changed. The SEC, we originally were a 506B, changed to a 506C, and then changed to a JV. Everything changed every step of the way. And it got to a point where I was like, guys, this deal, it looks worse every time we redo the underwriting. And I just don't think that it's a great deal for our investors anymore. And I don't think that we can legitimately, comfortably tell them that we can perform. And if we do, I think we have to go back and tell them, look, there could be a situation where for 2 to 3 years, we don't pay out anything. And none of our investors were used to that kind of deal, but that's what I saw as a potential problem with this. And so I convinced the rest of the GP team that we should give all the investors their money back, and so that's what we did, and we walked away from the deal. And it cost me a great deal of my net worth and liquidity to walk away from it. And so, needless to say, I came away with some wounds. And so I decided to go to Hawaii and visit my son and my grandson, who was turning 2. I hadn't seen him in a year. And so we were there for a little more than a month. And, um, during COVID, we kind of had the island to ourselves. So I don't know if you've ever been over there. They've got this thing called the Grand Canyon of the Pacific, and very beautiful. But I say that only to say that we had some time to do some meditation and reevaluate our goals. Try to decide, okay, can we keep doing this? If we do, what does it look like? Where do we think we're going to go over the next 12 months? And we came home with a plan, and we thought we had found a way to keep moving forward and stay in deals. And the very beginning parts of that plan were to try to help smaller investors, newer investors, and use our net worth and liquidity, use our balance sheet and our agency debt experience to help people get deals done. And that was part of a bigger plan that we thought would take us anywhere from 6 to 18 months to implement. And we wanted to build out a platform to capture what we thought was a hidden market. So I don't know, have you ever joined any mentoring programs or coaching programs, any real estate guru programs?
I haven't done any of the guru programs. I went to I guess you call it boot camp. Probably, it's probably going back 7 or 8 years now. Who were the guys that did had one of the first flip shows out there?
Was that Than Merrill
Yes,
or
they were like Fortune.
okay.
I think Fortune Builders it was.
Fortune Builders, yes.
Yep. So
Yep.
I went to one of those. it was a 4-day thing. It was in Connecticut, which is actually where they're from, New Haven,
Hmm.
and or I should say where they did a lot of the work. And felt it was just a big funnel to get them to do like their mastery course for 25 grand or something.
Yep.
And I thought myself, even back then, I didn't know that much, or at least compared to what I know now, having done this, full time for as long as I have. You know what? I mean, for 25 grand, I'm pretty confident I can do a flip on my own or go handle a 3-family on my own. 25 grand, I mean, it's going to be a lot of lessons. I'm sure I'll learn more than I did here, and at least I'll have some on my resume. And, maybe I'll decide I love it. Maybe I'll decide it's not for me, but that's the way I looked at it. Kept studying, kept learning, kept looking at deals. I got pretty close to buying one before I moved, and obviously moved and changed a lot of that. But finally got on that horse, and looking back at it, I think I made that right decision.
Well, I think you definitely made the right decision, much wiser than thousands and thousands of people who made the opposite decision. But have you ever been to one of those $97 Tony Robbins, or where they have all these Shark Tank people, Cuban, and all the other people put together a weekend or a rich dad event?
I have not. My sister's gone to a few of them. She actually liked them a lot. I know they got a pretty good cult following.
Yeah. So a lot of these things, and when you went to the Fortune Builders weekend, I don't know how many people were at that weekend event. If I had to guess, I'd say probably 400 or 500. And it might not have been that big. I don't know back then. But you walk into some of these rooms, there could be 1,000 people in them. And one of the things that they always say is that 80% of you are going to fail. That, we're going to give you all the information you need to succeed, but it's up to you to succeed, not up to us. We can't, you can lead a horse to water, so to speak, but you can't make him drink, is
Yeah.
what they're trying to convince you of. And if you think of yourself as a go-getter, that's who they're pitching to. They're pitching to that person who says, yeah, 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 I understand that. Just give me the information. I can get it done. And I was one of those people. And so I'm embarrassed to say how much money I've spent on those programs over the last 40 years. And every time I would get into a new one and think, okay, I'm going to be a real estate investor. Like I said, something else would pull me away from it. And then, 5, 10 years later, I'd go to another one, and same thing. And every time I'd leave, there was something about, I always felt they were making a big mistake. I always felt there was something wrong with their business model.
Hmm.
And what I thought it was if you divide the room up 80-20, 80% of the money is over here, and
Right.
you're going after the 20%.
Right.
Why not go after the 80%? Well, now, in any one individual person, the 20%, I guarantee you they have a lot more money. But collectively, most of the money is over here in the 80%.
Right.
And but that 80%, there's a reason why they didn't join the program. And so I thought that's lost opportunity. And then even amongst the 20%, 80% of those people fail the program. They gave them 25 grand or 50 grand or 100 grand, and they still failed the program. And so again, what's wrong with this picture? You've got an 80% failure rate.
Right.
And if you, I don't know if you were, if you're like me, when I was in school, I remember my first algebra class, and I was horrible, absolutely
Oh.
horrible. And I actually, about 3 days into it, got in a fight with my teacher and got thrown out of school for a few days. Um, and when I come back, it would have been very easy for the teacher. And this is the false narrative I think these gurus are preaching. It would have been very easy for the teacher to say, look, you've got the book. I've given you the homework assignments. You've heard the same lectures everybody else has heard. So it's up to you. If you don't put in the work, you're going to fail. And if she did that, or in my case, it was a she, if she did that, then the 80% of her students would fail, and the parents would probably hang her out to dry. There'd be a public square lynching. You can't fail 80% of your students. And that's what these gurus are doing.
Right.
So, my teacher instead found out came to me and spent enough time with me to figure out what I was missing and gave me what I was missing to help me pass the class. And to this day, I love math. I love formulas. I love looking at formulas, but I'm still not good at math. And I've taken a lot of math classes, still not good at math. And I equate it to telling people, look, I can love the Mona Lisa. I can look at it and see that it's a work of art. It doesn't mean I can paint the Mona Lisa, you know.
Right.
And the same thing with math. When I get in a spreadsheet and I start doing underwriting, I beat it to death. It fights back like it's a hungry tiger, you know, and we fight until one of us submits. And that's the way I feel every time I go to underwrite a deal. And so I get it done and I understand the underwriting. It's just that it's not my strength, if you will. And so I, the thing that I thought I came away from when I got back home from Hawaii was I think I found a way to tap into that 80% failure rate, that 80% of the people who didn't get the return on investment that they thought they should have gotten with that 25 grand, or the 80% of the people who said, look, I'm not going to put my money in there anyway, but I'm still going to try to do this. And um, and I tell everyone that so I here's what I offered to do. And I all of my friends I told this is what I want to do. And so Julie is one of those friends that said to me, you know, hey, I'll help you do this because I love what you're trying to do. So my idea was the one thing I cannot do is I cannot lose any more money. Okay. Not if I want to implement this plan. So my idea is, how do I stay in the business? And the way I can stay in the business is by helping other people that are in the business. And when I realized that, I'm like, okay, I could help other people. Hey, I could help the 80%. How can I do that? Well, if you've got a lot of people that are in this, they're missing something. You've just got to be like my algebra teacher and find out what it is they're missing and help them get that. So if they've got a deal and all they need is the net worth to take down the deal, I can provide that. If all they need is the liquidity requirements for Fannie and Freddie, I can do that. If they've got the net worth and liquidity, but they don't have Fannie experience or Freddie experience, I can provide that. Okay. So if they need coaching and mentoring, I can provide that. If they need asset management, I can provide that. The only thing I can't provide is at this point, I'm not willing to put any of my capital at risk. Okay. Other than that, if you've got a deal and you need help putting that deal together, I'll help you. Okay. And why would I do that? Number one, I feel like every success I've had in life is when I'm trying to teach or give back. And so I get a great deal of joy out of it. I don't have to do it. I could easily just say, look, I've got my retirement nest egg. I'm okay, and just live out my life and do what I want to do. But it comes to find out that I like doing this. I enjoy it. I get probably more out of it than the people that I'm talking to. And then secondly, if I help enough people get deals put together, I'm going to have enough people that ask me, Jim, we'd like to have you on the deal with us. We don't feel confident doing it by ourselves. Or the bank is asking us, we've got to have somebody else on the deal and we'd really like it to be you. Okay. So there's going to be lots of opportunities for me. Okay. While I'm helping other people. So that's how I decided to start the idea that I had. This is how I stay in the business and stay engaged. Okay. So that's one piece of it. And that's what I thought would be the beginning, the first step. And so I launched a beta program, which this phone call is part of that beta program where I'm going to try to help as many people get deals done as I can. And then once I get that rolling, then what I want to roll out is a platform where I can democratize all of the things that the gurus are doing. So I want a platform that any guru platform, I can offer what they're offering for free. Okay. Offer any piece of the program for free. And I'll say that that beta program filled up within a couple of weeks. And so this thing is moving much faster than I anticipated. And and because of that, I'm having right now, I'm in a state of chaos, let's just say. But and I tell people, look, I'm not charging for this, but if I ever do charge for it, there's two things about guru programs that I don't like, and that I will commit to everybody that I talk to that I will uh, do. If I ask for 25 grand to be a part of my platform or part of my program, the day you're at the closing table, closing your first deal, I'm going to write a check for that 25 grand and give it back to you. And it goes back into your deal, because the decision you made is the decision I think everybody should make. Because if you had given me that 25 grand, what am I going to do with it? I'm going to go put it in a deal.
Right.
Okay. I believe in what I'm teaching you. I think it's a smart thing, but how do I get capital to put in my deals? Well, by getting it from you. I think the thing that you instinctively knew that I try to tell everyone is you'll learn more putting that 25 grand into your deal and doing your deal than you'll ever learn from that guru.
Right.
And it'll be a lesson that you'll never, it'll be a harder lesson, but it'll be a lesson that will not be forgotten. And so I would rather see you put 25 grand in your own deal than to put it in my pocket so that I go put it in a deal. So that's one commitment I make to everyone. And the second is that I'm never going to have anybody sign a contract that says you can't do this and you can't do that. A lot of these gurus, you get in their program, you don't realize what you're signing. They'll say that you sign a contract and you can't do a deal outside the group. You can't do a deal that involves a Brad Sumrock student can't do a deal with a Rod Cleef student, okay, and or a Fortune Builder student, or that there's all kinds of things that the contract tries to restrict you to. You can't talk about the inner workings of the group. You can't disclose some of our secrets, okay? So I will never do that. And what I want to build is a platform that offers everything that those platforms offers and more. So one of the things, and the biggest thing that you find with these other platforms, is that the gurus know everybody's net worth, everybody's liquidity, how much you make per year, what your credit standing is, how many deals you've done. So they've got all the information in the world that they need to put deals together. They've got all the pieces, and they use that to put deals together for themselves and for their coaches. Okay. And they leave it up to you to build your platform from the ground up using the information they provided you. So I want to do two things. Number one, I want to give you all that information. But number two, I want to find a shortcut for everyone who's on the platform. So those gurus and their coaches have found the shortcut. I know where all the pieces are. All I've got to do now is put them together.
Right.
Okay. And so I want to provide that as part of what I'm calling a crowdfunding or a crowdsourcing of knowledge, of net worth, of liquidity, of capital, of deals, deal sourcing, everything that's needed to take down a deal, everything that's needed to underwrite a deal, everything that's needed to build out a remote market, everything that's in the real estate cycle. I want to build out a platform to allow equal access to that. Okay. And right now, the only thing I'm asking for is in regard to what does it cost is commitment and participation. So, if you're interested in joining us, I ask that everybody give as much as they take, and that's the cost to get involved with that platform and that program. Now, that's not the cost to get involved with me. Okay. So anybody that I have this conversation with, if that sounds interesting to them, I invite them. I'll give them a link. I'll let them join our channels. They can get in there and look at what we're building. If they like it, great. If they don't like it, no harm, no foul. And that doesn't mean I don't still want to help you. It doesn't mean I don't still want to network with you. Okay. Because I have offered everyone my help and I've offered it publicly. So if you still find a deal and you just, you need net worth, liquidity, or any of the things that I've offered, okay, to help you get your deal done, I'll still help you. Okay. But I'm going to tell you, I think that that's shortcutting yourself. I think that there's going to be people on this platform that have a lot more money than me. There's going to be people a lot smarter than me. There's going to be a lot more access to deals and partners, whether that partnership is a JV, a syndication, a KP, an LP, whatever that looks like. A lot more than just me, a lot more resources. So what I want to do is be able to, for you to walk into what a market and whatever you need, step on somebody else's shoulders who's already done a lot of the other work and be able to leapfrog a lot of these processes. We, each one of us come into this and we reinvent the wheel every single time.
Yes.
And it's such a waste of resources. It's such a waste of time. If you think about what it took for you to, you already knew your partner, okay, which was a shortcut. That is a shortcut, okay. But you still, you still had to have discussions to know, like, and trust each other, and you still had to start talking about building this real estate partnership, and that took time. Okay. And then when you decided on it, you had to decide, are you going to do it in New York or are you going to do it in Connecticut? And you want to do it in both. And so you start underwriting in both and you finally figure out Connecticut's the place, okay, for you guys to be. That took time. It took brain power, it took effort. Okay. And then you're in Connecticut. Now you've got to build out broker relationships. You got to build out property manager relationships. You got to build out contractor relationships. You know, all the things that you had to do, banking relationships, lender, all of that stuff that you've had to do. Okay. Attending meetups to try to meet other investors, you know, all of that takes time and effort. And if I could give you all that, or if I wanted to, let's say, for instance, you were looking for a partner and you said, Jim, we've already done all the legwork for you. All you've got to do is come in and plug in your net worth, your liquidity, and we can go off. We'll be off to the races. We've been underwriting deals and we just haven't been able to take them down because we've been missing this piece. So for me, that's a huge shortcut, right? Huge shortcut. So if I could offer that to you, but in the opposite way, okay, what value does that add to you? Or if you decide, look, we also want to be in Raleigh, Durham. And if somebody else is doing the same thing you're doing in Connecticut and Raleigh, Durham, and they've already got all of this built, and all you've got to do is just plug into it, how much time would that save you? To have vetted partnerships already, to know every broker, to have a place where you don't have to go looking for deals. We already have 15 vetted deals on the platform. We already, if you want to just be an LP investor, we've already got syndicated deals that you can invest in on the platform. If you just want old deals to underwrite and you don't want to have to bother with live information, you just want all the old stuff that's in a file that you can look at and go in there and play with and try to break. It's all in there already, okay, for several different markets. And so the way to participate or give is to enter into those markets and start giving some of that information for your market, okay? And so then you can attract other people. So if, for instance, there's nobody in the group from Connecticut or from the New England area, and you're the only one, then you would start to build out that piece of the platform and adding the pieces of that platform. All the while, everybody's saying, hey, Connecticut opened up. That's where my grandma lives. And we go up there, 4 times a year. I'd like to invest in Connecticut. So now we start building out the network for you in Connecticut. And because you started the Connecticut piece of the platform, you by default almost become the Connecticut authority. And the person that all the people that start joining the Connecticut piece of the platform start to look to as, yeah, you want to talk to Camil because he's the one, who knows everything. He's the one that's there. He's the one that's done the most deals. And that's basically the idea behind the platform.
And you make a lot of good points, but I'm even sure again. I love the platform idea. I think you hit a lot of the same notes that I've come to realize and kind of have my gut feelings with the gurus. I think the biggest part of it is how you explain the shortcut. It 100% matches what I instinctively believe, which is real estate it's sexy. It's easy to pick up and read a book on and fall in love with it. It just makes common sense. Like you got everyone wants to get rich, right? Which I shouldn't say everyone, but most people want to get rich. It's a way out. It's kind of moving the next tier. So everyone sees that as that lotto ticket, so to speak. But on the other hand, there's this Grand Canyon like gap between the book and actually putting it in place, and it's one of those you really have to learn by doing. And kind of like what you said about that, your successes have come when you've helped mentor people or wanted to educate and give back. I realized that my big successes have come in by doing. Now, I'm a big believer of reading and
implementing,
doing your homework, but one of the examples I like to use is it's like driving a car. You can read all the books you want to drive in a car. You can go read the books on how to race cars, but at a certain point, you need to get behind the wheel. And at a certain point, reading the book about racing the cars isn't going to help when you're still figuring out where the turn signal is.
That's right.
I think real estate's very much like that. So totally agree with what you're saying about reinventing the wheel all the time. It's a huge waste of resources. I think some of that you want to do on your own and kind of and double check some of the work, but there's a lot of stuff that like you're saying, going into a new market and now I need to figure out what my unit costs are, my square foot, and back in the envelope numbers start there. But if you have that there where someone's like, this is what I'm using, and then so-and-so is also using that, and they're basically the same thing, and you underwrite a couple deals, and those pencil out, now you're confident you can move on to the next step.
Yeah. The piece I love is that not everyone learns the same way. And that's why you have 80% of the people never sign up, is that not everyone buys into the guru speak. It's really aimed at one personality type, if you will.
Right.
And not everyone didn't grow up the way you and I did with a hammer in their hand and will never be able to swing one and cannot do a lot of things that you can do or I can do. And there's people that are really brilliant engineers, but if you ask them to actually, how many times have you heard, I know in my background in the steel industry, and now I'm going to forget the saying, but engineers are the dumbest smart people. This is a production line talk, the guys doing the work, and because there's a lot of really smart book people that couldn't do what they're asking you to do in a million years.
Right.
And so those people can't do by learning or can't learn by doing. They just, they have to fit into a different piece of the real estate puzzle. What's great about real estate is there's enough room for every personality type. So if you've got a good job, you're making a ton of money, and you realize that you're at the mercy of the man and that he could pull the rug out from under you at any time. So you want to diversify your income. You want to create a side hustle, another stream of passive income. You may have a job that pays you good enough that every year you're putting down 25, 50, 100 grand passively as an LP limited partner in somebody else's deal. And you don't need to learn by doing. What you need is to find somebody you know, like, and trust. And so this platform, even if you never buy a deal, is meant to educate you to the point so that you're comfortable giving Camil 25 grand because you've seen his underwriting. You've done the same underwriting. And even though he's out there finding the property and you don't want to have to do the hard work, you can still see he's doing the hard work. You know what it takes, and you're confident in giving him your money.
Right.
So
those are the best LPs. Like I love when people question, like, hey, what are you sure about this? It makes me double check myself, and it makes for a much better deal for everyone. It takes most of the risk out of the deal. Because like you're saying, everyone has all these diverse backgrounds. So I come from the civil world. I worked at the DOT for a while. I've done some around radiation. That stuff to me is known territory. I don't know everything about it, and I'm sure we're gonna learn a lot more as my years go on. But there's other people that are closer to your age than they're mine, and they're look at this thing and they see environmental impacts reports and stuff, and they're terrified. I'm going, guys, it's not. There's a way to do this. There's a process. There's a method. These are the red flags you look for. You take it from there. Yeah. And everyone kind of combines, and every deal is a little different, but you start pulling from everyone, and that's how you put it together, which is what what makes this, it's very similar to construction. That's why I love the business is every deal is the same, but every deal is different.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a basic structure and things that you can put in place. But if you're really going to excel at it, you've got to come in and have a kind of a free thinking, creative mentality, because every job is going to produce new challenges. Every deal is going to have new challenges. And as long as you're not rigid in your thinking, you'll be able to find a way past them. But even if you're not that kind of person, if you can be around somebody who is, then you both will benefit from that. So that's the beauty of in my mind, of crowdfunding this platform, is that we talked about the underwriting model and how much I have struggled with math over my lifetime. I've got half a dozen guys on the platform already that have financial degrees from major universities, have worked on Wall Street, and are going to be in there underwriting deals. And some of them hate underwriting, but that's what you sometimes figure out late in the game that what you became an expert in is something that you really don't like.
Right.
But that doesn't mean they don't already have that knowledge and that they can't put it to work and they can't share it or teach it to somebody else. What I see is that, I said every piece of real estate. So there's 15 different underwriting models out there that people use to analyze deals. And because we have the kind of brain power, brain trust, if you will, I see one day we will take a little bit of all these different underwriting tools and use all of that brain power to to come together into one model that really is better than any one of them by itself. Uh, and I think to the point that we could sell it to Wall Street for thousands and thousands of dollars. I believe that because I believe that's the kind of brain trust we're going to attract. But I'll never take down all the other ones, because everybody's going to be at a different level at a different point in their career. Like you said, you're a lifelong learner. You've done these things doesn't mean you're not going to keep learning. And somebody that just starting out, that financial underwriting model, that Wall Street level MBA underwriting model might intimidate the shit out of them.
Oh, yeah.
And so they want to use one of the other ones until they get comfortable. There's going to be some really simple ones in there. So if you're like me and you're horrible at math and you hate Excel, and you got to beat it into submission, then you start with the real simple ones until you build up that confidence muscle a little bit and then move to the next one. And building that kind of tool, I think we'll eventually be able to build for every piece. One of the things that I'm really excited about is building out an investor portal and a CRM, because those are two things that are super expensive in our industry and everybody needs them, but not too many people have them because they cost so much money.
Right.
And people will try to just do it on their own and reinvent the wheel every time. But we've got several people in IT in the program already that when we can get them all together, and this is difficult for most people because most people they want to believe they have an abundance mentality, but they don't. In reality, in fact, most of them have a scarcity mentality. They're afraid of losing something. They don't want to give up for somebody else will take it. I don't want to share that deal on the platform. Somebody else can steal it from me. No, they're number one, they
I think
can't.
people were at some point.
Everybody, you think you're the only one that knows about that deal? Trust me, you're not.
Right. It's
Okay.
not Luke that everyone knows.
And everybody that underwrites a deal looks at it with a different set of eyes.
Right.
That's why you can have one deal be underwritten by 15 different people in the same guru ecosystem, and still one person comes out the winner because they had a different view of that property that met the seller's expectation, whether that was price, whether it was vision, um, you know, whatever it was. So putting the deal out there for the public to see, it's like saying going to the car lot and, hey, do you want to see the secret cars? Because we can't show them to everybody, because if we showed them to everybody, they'd all be gone. They wouldn't be secret anymore. No,
Right.
you just put the deal out there. The people that are interested start underwriting it together. Okay. People that are interested in putting capital know that now there's a deal there. And look, I would rather have 5 people underwrite that deal. What's my confidence level that that underwriting is good if I had 5 people underwrite it?
Pretty
And
high.
if I've got capital to put into a deal, I would rather put capital in a deal like that. And the same thing with raising capital. There's resources that I can bring to bear, and by putting the right people together, we can create resources to make all of these pieces um, uh, more abundant, and to make it and to give access to more to the people who can. And here's the thing: we're not going to have 100% success rate either. There's going to be I just don't want it to be an 80% failure. I'm perfectly happy with 20% washout. Perfectly happy. Because there's going to be people that walk into this and look at it and say, nah, that's just not for me. I don't like it. Okay. And that's okay. No harm, no foul. If you have a deal, you still need help putting it together, I'll still help you.
Right. Look, to your point, I'd rather have someone jump in and the first year of doing, don't spend 5 or 10 years chasing the real estate dream. Finally jump in and realize it's not for you. To your point, you go spend your whole life getting good at something. Like, you're not going to be good at not doing it for 10 years, but you go build a career that you then hate, like you're saying with the underwriter, for example. You're better off finding out, just jump in there, realize it's not for you, or move on, or vice versa, realize it's for you, jump all the way in and keep it moving.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think really, Camille, in a nutshell, that's. I think I've said enough about the platform so that, look, if you're interested, I'll give you access to the drive, let you look around, see if you like it, and like I said, no harm, no foul. If you don't like it, get out. And if you need help, you and your partner, and you've got a couple of deals, you want to talk about them, and see if I can add value in some way or help you get a deal to the table. Or as we talked about in the very first part of the call, if I can give you some of my advice or experience and try to help solve a problem for you in this space, that's my commitment to Julie. And I will help in any way that I can.
Yeah, no, this definitely sounds interesting. I'd love to take a look at that. This sounds right up my alley. Vice versa, I like to be a resource on the construction side. I think that's one of those, it's kind of getting to your point about how people underwrite things differently. I think that results from people having different backgrounds. So,
Yeah.
I
Well,
underwrite
then,
when I underwrite the mortgage and the financials. I have some basic ballpark numbers, but my construction spreadsheet is this long, and I can tell you how to save a nickel on the flooring or a nickel on the paint, and I illustrate that's because of what I do. And then vice versa, like you're saying, you start combining, you take my piece, you take the Wall Street's got financial piece, whose his spreadsheet is like this for the financials, and then you can really start getting aggressive on these deals. So I think what you're saying has a lot of legs there. And I appreciate your help on these refi questions. We're chasing some of this stuff down. And the next thing I'd like to circle up on would be, basically our to-do list on the resources we need to put together to get one of these agency deals under together, in terms of, we have a general idea of what we know we're going to need liquidity. We know we're going to need someone with the Fannie Freddie experience, but really kind of, figure out exactly the people that we need what are the credentials, what are the resumes, what are the exact action items of who you put on this team, and start chasing some of the stuff down as we're looking at some of these deals.
So hopefully everything that you need is already in there. Okay. And it's just a matter of finding it. And then when you find it, if you need help with it, then the next piece is how do we collaborate that? So obviously there's already way too many people for me to help each one individually. So I'm leaning on the crowd. So when somebody else has, make the question public, put it out there, and we will crowdsource the answer, so to speak, amongst ourselves. We already have a Facebook group started for all of us to network together. And we also have started a Slack channel over the weekend for all of us to communicate with together. And everybody that comes onto the platform, I make them a full editor of the platform. It's held in a Google Drive. So everyone has full access. There's no secret doors, secret passages, nothing hidden. And the reason I'm doing that is, again, I want you to contribute. If there's a folder that I missed, you've got a project management background that I don't, and you say, look, you've got some good starting points here, but you're missing this and this. So put that in there. You've got expertise in that. Somebody's looking for expertise in how to underwrite construction cost. Okay. And you have that, and you can help in those regards and put that in there. But if your next piece is, look, I'm looking for a lender. What's the best way in your mind? Put that question out there. I've given you some ideas, but that's not to say those are the best ideas, not to say they're the only ideas. Somebody else might already have a lender who does portfolio loans and they lend nationwide. And if they do, and by the way, if I were you, as soon as we hang up, uh, and I'll tell you a little bit about my coaching and mentoring program. One of the things that I tell everybody is that I don't know if you've heard of Hal Elrod and the Miracle Morning, but I'm a big believer in that. But I'm a horrible practitioner, and it's like I love the game of golf, but I'm horrible at it.
That's a
Uh,
good.
but the but the one thing about Hal Elrod's system that I think the most important piece of it is journaling, what he calls scribing, and keeping a journal. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But I think the number one reason is it can accelerate your real estate career and investing career rapidly, because most of the time you're going to need to become a what they call a thought leader. And one of the richest sources of a thought leadership platform is your journal. Just, I don't care if it's one word at the end of the day saying how you felt about today, or you know a list of three accomplishments that you had today. I had three investor calls today, good day. And that's it. Some days it's going to be pouring your heart out and getting some of this shit out of your head that you'll find, man, I got it on paper. And for 3 or 4 days, it was bugging the shit out of me. I couldn't sleep. And now it's gone. Just putting it on paper, it's gone. But most importantly, I encourage everyone after a call, go to your journal and write down how you feel after the call, and just a brief little bit how you feel after the call, because coming back to that will mean a lot as far as that thought leadership platform, but also in making sure that the things that are important, when we forget about them, we have a place to go back and look and say, yeah, this helps me get back on track, helps me realize, look, I was pretty excited about this. I thought there was a lot of potential for me to do X, Y, and Z. And I remember now, Jim and I talked about portfolio lenders, and that he forgot to tell me, and that he's remembering to tell me right now, is that I need to Google nationwide portfolio lenders. And you're going to find a list. It might not be a big list, but you will definitely, you start digging that rabbit hole, you're going to find a list of nationwide portfolio lenders. And then it's just a matter of reaching out and see which one has the highest loan to cost or loan to value ratio that they're willing to do, and what their terms are. And when you put all that into a spreadsheet, guess what? You can now share the spreadsheet with the platform, and somebody else, when they have this problem, it's already solved, and they don't need to spend 6 months trying to figure it out.
Right, and see, I love that you're saying that, because maybe I'm different, but based on what you're saying, I don't think I am. I keep all that stuff, there's now years of research come across, and these little lists and notes and spreadsheets like that between me and my partner both. So we have, and it's not, not in there every day, but you look stuff up once in a while and go, oh yeah, I had this note. I especially love doing that on, especially like lender calls, in terms of stuff like you're saying. But when everyone starts doing that, now that becomes a very, very powerful resource.
Extremely powerful. And not only that, but when you're putting stuff in there and it's a little disjointed, so you'll see when you get in there, I said it's chaotic right now. It's a stream of consciousness for me, because I have so little time right now. I'm taking so many calls, and I'm working deals at the same time. And so it's difficult for me to put as much in there as I want to. So I'm putting even half written notes in there. And somebody's going to see that note and say, I had exactly the same thought. Let me help Jim finish this. Or I put it up there just a stream of consciousness. Let me put it into an outline for Jim. Okay. And now it's not Jim's document. It belongs to the platform.
Right.
And the platform makes it better. And then you come along and see it and say, oh, I found three more lenders for that Jim had put up there, and it's not on the list. I add those three. And like you said, it just, every piece of this becomes powerful. Every piece of it becomes powerful. And nobody needs to do all of the work by themselves, because if each one of us, if collectively, if we all had a URL to go to tonight, and just the people that are in the group right now tonight, we could literally build out a list like that that would have 100 lenders on it and have it done in less than 10 minutes.
Right.
And how long would it take you to do that by yourself?
Oh, weeks, if not months.
Yes. And we'll eventually have some people on the platform whose only job is to come in there and keep it clean, keep all of our scattered notes, you know, in a nice orderly fashion in the card catalog. The book is on the shelf where it's supposed to be, so that when you do need the information, it's not just this big giant jumble that you can never figure out. Because there are platforms out there, gurus, that's what you run into. They've got a lot of information, but you don't know where to go to find it.
Right.
So, but yeah, so I will add you to the list, Camille, and just get back in touch with me. Let me know what you think, and talk to your partner. And if you guys, anytime you need to talk to me, you want to talk about a deal, you want to talk about whatever, uh, get back on my calendar. The only thing I will say is that if you don't already have my contact info from the Zoom, and you should, because it should all, I try to post to anybody that asks for it. I have a full page of all of my social media, um, all of my emails, my phone numbers, whatever I'm doing, my bio, everything, my asset schedule of real estate owned, everything is in there. And so if you have something important, don't wait to get on my calendar. If you have something that's going to cost you money, you're going to lose a deal or whatever, you've got my cell phone. Text me and say, Jim, can you find 5 minutes? I need to push something by you real quick. So don't wait if it's something urgent. Otherwise, though, feel free to jump back in my calendar, find an open slot that works for you. And feel free to invite your friend. It's a Zoom call. We can have as many people on here as we want.
Awesome. No, I appreciate that. I'll definitely have them come on this time.
So anything else you want to get from me before I scoot out of here and go have some dinner with my wife before I get on my next call?
No, I think I'll let you go. I've taken up enough of your time. This has been great. Look forward to checking out the platform. I'll dig into some of the stuff, looking for the agency debt, and I'll take it from there.
Okay, real quick, let me get your email address.
Yeah, it's my name. It's camil.zuk@gmail.com, and I'll spell that for you if you want.
Camil.Zuk.
Yep, period.
Z-U-K, right?
All right, CAMIL period ZUK.
At gmail.com. And your cell phone?
860
860
869
869
8606.
8606. All right. Fantastic. So as soon as we hang up, I'm going to send you an invitation to collaborate on a Google Drive folder. Okay.
Perfect.
And then I will add your name to the Slack channel, and you'll probably get an invitation to join the Slack, an email. And I will not send you an invitation for my monthly meetup or for the Facebook group. I'll just leave that to you. If you go onto that contact information page that I talked about,
Okay.
I don't know if you've opened that yet or not. If you haven't, if you need me to resend it, I can text you a link real quick. But on there, you'll find the Facebook group and also my monthly meetup, and would absolutely love to have you join both. And hopefully we can add some value to your day anytime you're in there.
Yeah, is that link on the is that in the Zoom invite or no? Social media link with
You know what? That's a very good question. And if it's not, it should be. Let me look real quick and see if
yeah,
it
I'm not
is
sure.
there.
I know I think I saw you posted with Julie, but I don't know if I have it. I'm just going to take a picture, maybe.
Are you saving the Zoom chats?
I don't actually know how to do that.
Okay, so right now we're on Zoom. In your bottom right-hand corner, well, first off, you've got to open up the chat. So if you open up the chat,
Yep.
here, let me post something in the chat real quick.
Let's see.
I'm going to give you two things here.
Oh, that'd be easiest. Yeah, I've been doing the old-fashioned way, just trying to take a picture of it, and I gotta.
Yeah, that's too hard.
You're probably, I don't go back and organize my pictures often enough, so they're.
And I don't even go back and organize the chat the way I should. I'm just out of time. I need to get a VA to start doing that for me. So let me take this full screen so I can find the chat. Okay, typing into the chat right now. If you click on that, it should open in a new window.
Yep.
My contact info. Okay.
Yeah.
And there you can find the GOB Facebook page, and you can find the GOB monthly meetup.
Yep.
Okay. And the invite for the calendar will be the GOB network of apartment investors collaboration link, and the GOB network of apartment investors Slack channel. And also, if you look in the bottom right hand corner, see where it says file, and it has a little picture of the looks like a little piece of paper with a dog-eared
Yep.
and three dots. Click on those 3 dots.
Save chat.
Save chat. Now, if you click on save chat, then it'll give you the option to open the folder.
Yeah, I see that.
And the reason I want you to open the folder is because if you don't, you find the chat that you just saved. It took me 3 days to find the first chat that I saved. And so if you open the folder, you can immediately, what I typically do is copy and paste it into a document so that I can sort it easier and organize it easier. And I will give you one thing more in the chat. So where did it go? This is
I don't know what this folder is either. It's probably one of these default folders when Zoom installs kind of thing. That
yes, it is. Okay. I'm going to give you networking gold mine. This is cat nibble for all networkers.
Awesome. I love gold.
Now, this is not exhaustive. This is just what I remembered to do. This is a list of a couple of the ones that you have not been on. This is saved chats for a few of those.
Oh, great.
From Brian Briscoe. Where's the chat? Oh, no, Jimmy, don't do that. I was about to just paste the whole thing in there. If I did that, that's not the smart way to do it. Here, instead, get a clickable link. Copy link. Whoops. Now you're witnessing how slow I am with this stuff. And if you can imagine me trying to build out this freaking massive platform at this speed.
That's what's always interesting is just seeing, like, that's how you get good, right? That's how you realize you're sitting next to one of these IT guys, they're banging stuff out at a mile a minute. Wow, it's
also how you figure out what your weaknesses are and start to figure out, okay, I need partners that can do this.
Yep, exactly.
So click on that other link that I just sent you and see if it opens up a Google document that it should be a link to Brian Briscoe's meetup chat, saved chats.
Yes, it did.
And there's a bunch of brand new people you can network with if you haven't already been networking with them.
Great. Appreciate this very much.
Okay. All right. I think I've done my job. I think I gave more than I took.
Yes, you've been very helpful. I appreciate your time, and I look very forward to joining this platform and helping build it out.
Thank you very much, Camil. It's a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for getting on my calendar, and I look forward to our next call.
May as well. Have a good night. Enjoy your day.
All right. You too. Thanks.